Welcome to another episode of Lightspeed Investing Podcast. Today we have our esteemed guest, Dr. Jeffrey. He is back again, CEO of Spinal Kinetics, as well as the founder of Smart Injury Doctors Program. He has been a licensed doctor of chiropractic for the last 33 years. And today, what we are going to talk about is his role as CEO of Spinal Kinetics, what that company actually does, and why he created it. How are you doing today, Dr. Jeffrey?
Excellent, Phillips. And again, so nice to have you having me in front of your audience or to your listening audience. I just really appreciate the opportunity to always talk about what we do in the spinal injury market.
Well, it's fascinating, right? Because, for you, I definitely resonate with your work because I was on the way to becoming either a plastics, orthopedic, or cardiothoracic surgeon myself. And that relevance to sport medicine really means a lot to me. Now, with Spinal Kinetics, to my understanding, you have a unique approach to the market, right? Do you mind sharing with the audience a bit about what inspired you to build this company and what makes you so different in the marketplace now?
Yeah, real great question. So if you look statistically in the United States, too, I'm going to give you some 2010 statistics. 292,000 medical visits a day are for injuries, about 60% of that spine related. 108,000 emergency room visits a day, about 60% of that is spine related. If we look at the chronic pain population in the world or in the United States today, those are people that experience over 3 months or more of some form of chronic pain. Low back is number one, neck is number four, and headaches is number six, all primarily caused by a spinal condition. So spine conditions are the most problematic conditions in the country today. There's not any of your viewers, any of your people that listen today that don't know somebody with chronic headaches or somebody with chronic neck pain or somebody with chronic low back pain. Now, the problem is when a person injures their spine, statistically by research, about 55% or more will never fully recover from that injury. Now, for me, I've always looked at those statistics for the last 20 years and said, that is not bad patients. That's bad doctors. I'm a doctor. That's not on that's not on the patients, that's on the doctors. So always for me, it was, okay, we have to understand these injuries better. Spinal injuries are not taught in any medical college in the country. They're not taught in any chiropractic college in the country. They're not taught in any osteopathic, any physical therapy. No one gets formalized education on spinal injuries. As crazy as that sounds, no one does. To the doctors that are listening to me right now, they know in their curriculum, they didn't have any curriculum on it. So the most problematic injuries in the market today. And so very early on, I realized that there was a test that you could do that would tell me how damaged the patient was, which was extremely helpful, one, in understanding where the injuries were, and then two, understanding how to use those to get better results with the patient. But more importantly, in the injury market, which a lot of people want to get into, it's a very lucrative market. More importantly, is it made the medical legal process very, very easy. Because it made it easy for me to get referrals. It made it easier for me to establish relationships. So that excessive motion testing is what Spinal Kinetics does. We're a niche medical radiology group that does that testing.
Gotcha. Okay, wow, that's amazing. So that clearly outlines your why, right? And so, for you, what are your goals and vision now that you have, created this company, and what are you looking to do with it?
Yeah, great question. So the mission has not changed from the very day one that I started it. I started out with the idea, Philip, and you'll kind of maybe resonate as an entrepreneur with this idea. I was like, could one guy, me, change the way spinal injuries are worked up so that there's a standardized procedure so that every spinal injury patient was worked up the same, because the injuries are the same. They're not different. The people that have them are different. The injuries are the same. So it's like a gunshot wound. A gunshot wound is the same no matter what, it's the same sort of wound. A burn is the same. The people that have them are all different, but the physical condition itself is the same. So could one guy do it? I realized after about 2 years into it, no, one guy couldn't. That's when we started adding. That's when we merged into a medical company. That's when we've been adding employees, and we keep growing and growing and growing. AI, which we'll get into, has made it so that we can now scale so it becomes a standardized test. I feel my goal in this project is that no patient that actually, it doesn't have to be done through Spinal Kinetics. It'll be done through the technology that Spinal Kinetics helps to develop,
Hmm.
that no patient goes untested. It's too important of a test.
Hmm.
And so, as we evolve and things evolve, this test will be no one, you can't determine how badly injured the spine is without a test like this.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. So, what is the difference, right, between that AI component and the manual component? Is it just making sure that all the patients get tested the same, or is it the quality of assessments get enhanced as well?
Yeah, so an excessive motion test in the old days, and I've been on right from the real old days. I'm old enough where I dipped my X-rays in dip tanks. You're not old enough; you would have never went through that. But so obviously the technology has come up, but one of the things that always was there is a radiologist had to manually locate, say on a cervical and a lumbar study, 211 anatomical points, place those points. The computer then assesses how much excessive motion based on those point placements. So if you want to do 1,000 tests, it's 211,000 points. It's, 10,000, 100,000, you can start to do the math. You want to do 1 million of these tests in the United States would be like low numbers. You're looking at 3.5 billion points that have to be anatomically placed. So it never scaled. What the AI allowed us to do in the training is it gets smarter as it goes and it gets more accurate as it goes. It allowed that process to be automated and a lot more accurate. We think, we haven't totally done the research trials on it, but we're very confident based on the fact that we have 10 years of experience of manual versus experience of now working with these AIs, that it'll be much more accurate.
Wow. And so can you put some, I guess, percentage points or like numbers around that? What are we talking about in terms of the increase there?
Well, yeah, whenever you get into increase and you get into medical technologies, let's use one that everybody can kind of get an idea of. Anybody could look up that's on this call. Everyone knows what an MRI is. Okay, so recent research came out and said, hey, look, if I send the same patient to 10 different MRI centers, what is my variability in the read?
Hmm.
The variability was 45%.
Hmm.
So we could call that a 45% error rate.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're getting into measuring things, um, if you want to accurately measure an inch and you got something that can accurately measure an inch, how much variability is there measuring in an inch? Well, then it becomes your measuring system. And with the current measuring systems that are out there, and with the AI also out there helping to, anatomically place the points, the variability is very little.
Mm.
So it's kind of hard because it's not really an apples to apples comparison with most of the technology. And if we looked at the technology that's out there, it's miles ahead of where the variability would be in, like I said, like in an MRI read, which we know has been problematic. And I'm not cutting it down. I'm just saying, um, measuring things is a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to quantify things, and it's just, it's just much easier. So as far as the tested variability or and intra reliability tests, earlier when it was tested, without measuring and without measuring capability, reads were like 24% agreed upon. With measuring technology, they were 76% agreed upon. So the improvement was significant, but this is 10-year study prior to AI or anything else. Today, it would knock it out of the park.
No, absolutely. I love that. And so, since I'm not as educated, around this specific space, when
Yeah,
people embrace this sort of technology, can this now be done remote, or do they still have to step into the physical office?
no, they send us
Hmm.
their X-rays, their patients' X-rays. They send us, they upload their X-rays into our PAC system, picture archiving communication system, and they upload the order,
Hmm.
the prescription, and the images, and 12 hours later they got a report.
I love that. So it basically creates a lot of efficiency, right, within the intricacies of these the details here, right, and the logistics.
Yeah, it does that. Plus, the thing it does is it objectifies the injury, so it makes it a lot easier to traverse the medical legal. So great doctors in the injury space know there's two things. One, there's the injuries and the patient, and that's one thing. But then they got this whole medical legal. They got attorneys from both sides, the patient's
Mhm.
side, the insurer's side. The insurer is saying that the doctor's on the patient's side and is trying to make the injuries look worse than what they are, and so there's this infighting constantly that goes on. And with this,
Mhm.
the level of an objectivity, it's kind of like, look, if somebody said, he said that he killed this person, that's called hearsay evidence,
Mhm.
right? If the person said, I killed the person, or I saw that person killed him, right? That's direct evidence. Now, if you showed a photograph of the person standing over the top of the body with the gun and the bullet hole and you had the gun, that's called highly objective evidence. That's very difficult to contest. Imaging is highly objective evidence of injury.
Mhm.
It's no longer an opinion anymore because it's right there in the images. So it
Gotcha.
makes traversing the medical legal, which, to your segment of population of listeners, to the doctors that do injury work, they're going to resonate. Oh yeah, the more objectivity that you have,
Right.
the easier it is to get referrals, the easier it is to navigate this medical legal aspect.
Well, yeah, and let's talk about that because a lot of the listeners here, right, not only do they share the love for medical sciences, but they are also business owners, right?
Yep,
So, from a business standpoint, how does this help their enterprise grow, right? How does it translate to, benefits in the business realm, in order for them to really look into, the type of work that you're doing?
perfect. So all their businesses, regardless of, there's only three ways to grow their business. One, more new customers.
Right.
Two, greater charge per customer visit. Or three, more visits, more repeat customers. So one, it assists with making you unique so you can attract more customers, whether it's direct to the public or direct to the legal attorney market, so you can attract more people in. You can charge more. More importantly, you can justify your charges. Sometimes it doesn't have to be even charge more. It can be just you're justifying your charges so you can get paid in full for your charges. And then two, usually what it helps to do is it shows the patient has more significant injuries than maybe you're even aware of. So the treatment duration is oftentimes longer.
Mhm.
So it hits all three of what you're doing. Plus the other huge thing, I guess I'd add a fourth thing, is
Mhm.
for a lot of providers that are in the injury space, they don't talk about it a lot, but let's say they did $10 million worth of injury services, but they were only getting paid 60 cents on the dollar because they're taking cuts in the injury work because the people that are representing the injury patient can't get the settlements that they need. So they have to go back to the doctors and cut their bill. So on a $10 million, I did $10 million worth of services. I cut back and we got paid six million. Okay. If this improved their cutbacks by 10%, right? If they went up another 10% and they picked up $1 million, now it's 7 million instead of 6 million. It's a huge amount of money. And so on the backside, it also protects in the AR because the injury market is a big AR business. It protects that AR and it protects it from reducing, but it also protects from how much cutbacks they take on the claims.
And when you
That's
say AR, I'm guessing you're referencing accounts receivable.
Yes, I'm sorry, accounts receivable.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. No, that's amazing, man. So, you've obviously been creating a great history of work here, and you're innovating, right, by incorporating AI. Do you have any other comments, remarks for fellow medical professionals, in the injury market space, right, that you want to share with them?
No, I mean, I love the fact, first of all, I love the fact this is not a typical forum, the investing forum, but obviously, you and I have talked, I'm really huge on invest in yourself, invest in your business, then take the money and invest that money into other ways that you can make money.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So, it really helps the providers to one, do better themselves, do better in their businesses so they can do better with any other thing that they want to do. And the injury space is a really lucrative space to get into. doctors that are in the spinal injury space, you can't determine how badly injured a spine injury is with this this type of testing. It has relevance to surgical, it has relevance to pain management, it has relevance to chiropractic, it has relevance to physical therapy, it has relevance to anyone that's treating these injuries. So I just, Philip, really appreciate the fact that, again, this, it's typically not a forum that we're on because it's so niche, but it is those, usually our providers are the ones that do really, really well and are investing in other things as well, such as short-term investing strategies that you guys bring into play and that I love that you guys do with your work. So, that would be how I would sort of conclude, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it is important, right? Because a lot of people think about investments just like putting into a vehicle, but not necessarily recognizing that one of the most important that you ought to make is in yourself, followed by your business or assets that generate wealth, right? And then followed by additional assets, right? And obviously, it sounds like what you've created here is certainly one of those vehicles that allow for them to do so. So, glad to have you here now. For those listening, what is the best way to get a hold of you and discuss this in more detail?
Yeah, if you wanted to get a hold of us, myself, you would just call Spinal Kinetics. Look us up at thespinalkinetics.com, 877-508-9729, and we'll set up an appointment and we'll talk more. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us. Just write at the website, thespinalkinetics.com, or 877-508-9729.
Awesome. I love it, man. Well, Dr. Jeffrey, always a pleasure having you on here. Thank you so much for bringing innovative insights to the spinal injury market, as well as incorporating an AI component. For the listeners out there, definitely need to get a hold of Dr. Jeffrey and talk more, as this will no doubt add tremendous value to your practice, to your patients, and to your bottom line as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Jeffrey, and everyone. Until next time, we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Yep.